Good morning, you guys. We're back again. Still looking at Reconstruction. Okay, right. Yesterday, we went over the black codes that were instituted in the South at the end of the Civil War. Okay, so based on document B from yesterday, looking at an example of the black codes in Louisiana, did we have any questions there now that we've had a day to think about those? Remember your CFU today is based off that document on the black codes from yesterday. Okay, no questions? All right. So we're going to continue going through that packet. Remember, the packet was posted Monday and is due this Sunday, so you're going to have a full week to do it. Okay, and we've been going through the documents each day. Okay, so today we're going to be taking a look at a statement by Henry Adams. Now, Henry Adams is an African-American man living in the South. Okay, in the South. Okay, so we're going to go through document C. Please have that out with you if you are trying to follow along. Right. So document C by Henry Adams. In September 1865, I asked the boss to let me go to the city of Shreveport. He said, "All right, when will you come back?" I told him next week. He said, "You had better carry a pass." I said, "I will see whether I am free by going without a pass." I met 4 white men about 6 miles south of the town. One of them asked me who I belonged to. I told him no one. So him and 2 others struck me with a stick and told me they were going to kill me and every other Negro who told them they did not belong to anyone. They left me and I went on to Shreveport. I saw over 12 colored men and women hung between there and Shreveport. Sunday, I went back home. The boss was not at home. I asked the madam, the boss's wife, where was the boss? She said, "You should say master. You all are not free, and you shall call every white lady Mrs. and every white man master." During the same week, the madam took a stick and beat one of the young colored girls, who was about 15 years of age. The boss came the next day and whipped the same girl nearly to death. After the whipping, a large number of young colored people decided to leave that place for Shreveport. On the way, out came about 4. They said they were going to kill every colored person they found, leaving their masters. And remember, this source is by a former slave by the name of Henry Adams. Okay, and he made this statement in front of the U.S. Senate. Right? So the Senate was investigating things that were going on in the South during this time. Right, and this statement was made in 1880. Okay, talking about the time period right after the Civil War. Months ago, okay, and as we looked at on Monday, the 13th Amendment was passed, which freed all slaves, right? Slavery is now illegal in the United States before this happens. Okay, and as we talked about yesterday, people in the South are going to consistently be trying to reinstitute those kind of circumstances that existed during slavery, even though slavery is now illegal. So we saw that with the black codes yesterday. We saw that these were laws. The ones we looked at yesterday were in particular focusing on the ability of African Americans to move about freely, right? Even though they are free citizens, right? And their ability to gather, their ability to arm themselves, things like that, right? So things that would make them more independent, they were being restricted on with those black codes. Today, we see an example from someone who lived through this experience. When he wants to go somewhere else, his boss tells him he needs a pass, just like he would have during the era of slavery. City and back, but when white men. But along that road, he sees 12 other African Americans. Yes, I'm sorry. Stable, okay? Doing the best I can. Hopefully it will be a little better when I post it up. Okay. But yeah, my connection's cutting in and out a little bit. Okay. I apologize for that. Okay. But ask any questions you have and I will answer them as best I can, even if I already did, but I cut out during that time. So we are seeing, right, in this violence being used besides the black codes that we looked at yesterday. Now we're seeing violence being used to, again, try and recreate the circumstances that were in place around slavery, right? So the South, right, people in the South are trying to go back to that. They know that they understand where, right, whites were held in a higher social station over African Americans, right? And now we're having laws that are being put in place, right, like the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, where we're supposed to be equal now. And they're preventing that from happening through their actions that we're seeing here, right, the violence. And this is just everyday people doing this, right? And we'll take a look at the KKK and how they used violence and intimidation and terror. We'll take a look at that more next week. But we saw the laws that are being put in place yesterday, right? They were being used to try and recreate these circumstances, and now we're seeing violence being used as well. Right. So besides the violence, right, when Henry Adams, right, comes back home after visiting the city, right, the man he works for, right, his wife says you shouldn't call him boss, right? You should call him master, right? So again, trying to reinstitute those ideas of you belong to this person. Even though slavery is illegal, slavery doesn't exist anymore.